Simplicity is the glory of expression. Walt Whitman. My friends, we look for simplicity any and everywhere we can find it. We want simple charts that work. And of course, we apply our always winning strategy and use of the average true range, where we set our profit and loss bands at reasonable levels and limit our exposure based upon volatility. All of those things mean that if you are winning just 4 out of 10 times, you are moving forward. Want to know more about that? Take those trainings. They are, I think, the 2 best trainings that I've ever put together. I'll put them at the end of today's video for those of you who haven't seen them, because I'm going to take them down soon. Now, let's jump into these charts. Everything down for the day except gold. And the biggest downer for the day by far is Bitcoin. Let's jump first into the S&P 500, down 1.71% for the day. Now, we barely eked out a weekly vertical crossover. We talked about the ups and downs of that this last Friday. And then what do we see happen come Monday? The market just dissolving, just moving down. Now, as we watch this red candle start to form, we see the derivative oscillator still gaining a little bit of momentum. We look at the 2-day chart and we can see how the red candles are a-growing. This candle is now complete. And we see things, again, still positive on that 2-day, but heading down. Price percent oscillator heading down. Derivative oscillator positive, losing momentum. This 2-day, going from the 2-day to the half-day, we can see how just a lot of red there. Red and then sort of sideways down and then sideways down. Just a lot of downward pressure there as we see the price percent oscillator pulling back through and trying to head down. Now, this is just Monday. Again, as I've talked about this entire time, inflation out of control. Gas prices crazy high. War in Europe, crazy. All sorts of insane stuff going on. How long can the markets hang on? And of course, what do you hear? Federal Reserve price hike, which means what? Disaster for real estate and all sorts of other things as far as continuing sales of that. I mean, just again, they're trying to slow things down. And where's it going to slow down? Well, it's going to slow down in the markets, isn't it? So we'll watch and see. Doesn't mean everything's done yet. It just means shutters are coming through the market, like earthquake shutters, where you have the building rattle, the windows rattle, maybe break out. It can get a little scary. Hang on tight. What do we see going on with the NASDAQ 100 down 2.37%? Big downer for the day after, again, 2 weeks. That is the week ending the 25th of March and the 1st of April. Nice up weeks, slowing down this last week. And then, again, not enough energy, as we talked about, to have a weekly vertical crossover. Derivative oscillator still positive, gaining a little momentum, but that price percent oscillator bouncing off the red signal line, pulling away from it. What do we see on the 2-day? Again, 2 solid 2-day candles of down movement. Price percent oscillator not negative yet, but looks like it's going that way. Derivative oscillator losing upward momentum. And we look at the half-day chart and we can just see things sliding on down. We won't say into oblivion, but sliding down. Now, tomorrow it could punch back up again with any kind of news. Oh, the war in Ukraine's getting resolved. Oh, they're about to have a peace treaty. You can expect the markets to flare up on that. So again, just be careful, be advised, pay attention, watch price movement. That's what will tell you what's actually going on. What about the half day? My word, it's only Monday. What about 20-year bonds, TLT? What do we see going on there? Down 1.58%. Big red down candle forming. Of course, we had that weekly vertical crossover back in January. And we have seen, but for a few weeks where things sort of slid sideways, one really, just green open box spinning top since then. Everything else is either a doji or solid green down candle. The rest of all of it, red down candles, and starting the week off with a decent size one. Consequently, price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator heading down. On the 2-day chart, you can see 4 days of strong down movement. We saw where things bounced off the red signal line on that 2-day price percent oscillator. The derivative oscillator started gaining downward momentum. We look at the half day and just stair steps down. Price percent oscillator heading down. Derivative oscillator negative, still losing a little bit of downward momentum. But again, lots of downward weight on bonds. Now the only golden spot for the day is gold. It was up 0.50%. Silver, took a position in silver last week, up 1.45%. That's nice. Now, when we look at gold, like we said, up 0.50%, price percent oscillator is positive. Remember when gold peaked? We've talked about that multiple times back on the week ending the 11th of March. It then slid sideways, and maybe it's trying to recover and take off again. Derivative oscillator still losing momentum. Price percent oscillator flat. 2-day. Again, it's still negative. We're waiting for that weekly or that 2-day crossover going up to go back in the direction of the weekly. We call that a 2-day recross. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum, still negative. Half day, again, bounding up in the morning, losing some of that in the afternoon, but that price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator, still heading up, and a positive day for gold, albeit only 0.5%. Now we get to Bitcoin, our big downer, depending on where you look. We see Grayscale Bitcoin down 6.84%. The Bitcoin futures, BITO down 6.63%. BTF down 6.55, and XBTF down 6.56. As we look at what's happening with New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index, red down candle forming, price percent oscillator still hanging on, but heading down. Derivative oscillator still positive, but losing upward momentum. 2-day, again, accelerating down movement, pushing through the weekly trend line. The 2-day candle is heading down, still positive, but looks to be heading for a crossover going down. Derivative oscillator positive, losing lots of momentum. And then for our half day, let's check out, you can see where things are down in the morning. Further down in the afternoon, Bitcoin has been trundling down steadily, crossed over going down back at the end of March. Slid sideways for a while and then just starting to drop. Big down day for Bitcoin. So we'll continue to keep the powder dry, pay attention, see what's going on. One thing I told somebody today that asked me about all the downward movement in the market, we've talked about this a lot, but it begs repeating. When there is deleveraging, when things are really breaking in the market, people say, well, wait a minute, I thought all the money would go into gold. I thought all the money would go into bonds. When people are having to cover shorts in commodities, in stocks, in bonds, whatever it is they may be into, they're having to, rob from Peter to pay Paul. They're having to cover margin calls. When you see things like that happening, well, you can tell things like that are happening when everything is systemically going down at the same time. Now, you can expect those things that, particularly like commodities, hard and soft, whether it's things people have to eat, or things people want to drink, like coffee, or if it's things like oil that you're going to run your car with, or if it's things like gold and silver, then those are actual real stores of wealth. And they're things that some of them are fungible, things that people need to eat. So you can see, again, those things catch and recover at some point. But when they're just systemic crashes, when things are really hammering down, everything going down at the same time gives you a clue that might be what is going on. So we'll continue to watch. We don't have to figure everything out, my friends. We just have to find the bright spot where we can accurately track what's going on and make money, whether it's going up or down, either going long or going short. We're not a stock calling service, not a Bitcoin, a commodity calling service. We are an education firm, but we want you to practice trade with us and to learn how to do this. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.